So like last week we talked about AI, right?
Our wish list for AI.
Right, and you just wanted AI to do stuff for you without you having to do shit.
Yeah, like remove things.
Without you actually having to press the button.
Right. Which would be awesome. And fast forward a week later, it happened.
Yeah.
2 weeks later.
Our wishes come true. We manifested it.
So what should we manifest next? What's on your bucket list? What's on your
Just money tree.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
money's not.
We wake up and there's a money tree in our backyard.
But that was pretty cool. Did you guys do anything cool?
I did.
With this AI?
I took a picture of my friend Moses. I added an afro.
I don't know. That's
I gave him a nice mustache, a saxophone in his hand, just to test it out.
I think everyone just took had fun with it and went a little like creative, seeing all the wacky things they can do, but
people went pretty crazy. The whole industry.
I didn't do anything silly with it. I did a Bernizer method with one of my images, and I just told it to fill in the blanks. I'm obviously way more boring than you guys.
You did what it was intended for, but
Right.
see, you did the wacky things like years ago with like the hard way, manual with Photoshop.
Yeah, like I used to replace like bouquets with kittens, like airborne kittens and stuff. That was pretty funny. It actually got me my 15 minutes of fame. You know,
Yes, went very viral.
Right? Yeah, I went viral for that. Right?
And that took you about approximately how long to do
5
that
minutes.
in Photoshop? Now it'll take you seconds.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
But it does cool stuff now, like removing someone holding your light stand or just expanding the scenery. Like some videos that I've seen that people have done that the way it should be used for. So it's pretty cool to see how it'll cut back on the work. And I noticed when we were shooting in Central Park on Saturday morning, like people walking by.
You're crazy.
dogs.
Saturday morning, you're asking for it.
Well,
No,
if you go
it was like
early
7 in the
enough,
morning.
Yeah, if you go early
so it was
enough,
good
it's
until
fine,
like 8 a.m. But like people started walking by, and I was like, you know what? It's
AI
okay.
will-
We'll fix it later with the new AI. It's
Yeah,
fine.
AI will take care of all these people.
You know, there's a secret. I don't know if many people know about this, but in Central Park, 9 o'clock, that's when the Chinatown buses arrive. All the tourists arrive.
Oh,
the tourists
really?
are back in full force. So
I'm always on my way out by 9
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, 9 o'clock, that's
Yeah.
when my people show up with the selfie
6 to
sticks.
7 is when you want to get there.
It's usually bad in the spring with the cherry blossoms and stuff, but like I've never seen like busloads.
No.
Yeah, they come at 9.
During
And then,
cherry
and then the
blossom
bubble guy
season.
shows up around 8, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the violin, or is he a violin player or is he a
He's
guitarist?
always
He's always there.
He's
like
there.
when we're there at
He
7
doesn't
a.m.
leave. He's there 24/7.
Yeah. He gets there early.
I've never beat that guy.
That's like his
that.
spot. Yep. He's always in our
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
And the bubble guy, you got to tip him too. You guys ever run into the bubble guy?
No, I don't
been
use him
years.
because of that. I'm just like everybody does that picture. Like I'm not gonna pay him.
Yeah. He's usually gone. He doesn't get there till after we leave, so we don't really ever see him.
Yeah. Did you guys do anything fun for Memorial Day weekend?
Yes.
What'd you guys do?
We had no weddings for the first time in like 6 years.
Yeah.
So we hung out.
You guys got to open your pool, right?
We went in our pool yesterday.
Made pizza.
That's the goal.
Pizzas.
Get that pool body ready.
Yes.
It's ready.
It's ready.
I had the one piece on. I was like, that's it. We're just
That's awesome.
going with it.
Yeah.
What did you guys do this weekend?
My second shot for the one and only.
We worked.
Karis effing Lau. I was the second shooter.
You don't want Ben Lau as a second shooter.
I am the I am the worst. Officially the worst.
I lost all inspiration as soon as he started talking. Oh, let's go over there. How about that tree? Go, move, go over there. I'm like,
It's Ben effing Lau.
So Ben can't let go when he's a second shooter.
What are you? Listen, she's not even paying me, right? So like, she should be thankful
I
and grateful.
worked for you for like over 10 years. what do I have?
You didn't
Just
work.
cash it in right now.
You didn't work.
What do I have?
You didn't work for me. You worked with me.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
What? So he just like micromanages?
No, I thought I was pretty laid back. I didn't really.
Right. Everywhere.
You know, you got Ben effing Lau as your second shooter. You know, what else do you want?
And you get him for free, Karis. You can't complain.
I have to feed him.
The venue fed him.
eating cookies nonstop there.
Oh yeah, you are the snack person. Don't you bring all the snacks for you guys on wedding
I
days?
bring all the snacks. He eats all my snacks. I bring
The cookies were pretty good.
he eats them. But yeah, at the venue they had I don't know, they ordered it or they had cookies. Like they had food just laid out all day. Yeah, nonstop. He's like, oh my God, these are good. Like nonstop eating cookies. Like he must have ate like 10?
No, 3. I had 3.
No, you had more than 3.
Ben Lau's missing eating cookies. Love it.
But this weekend I was definitely not focused AF. You see what I did?
I see what you did. I'm focused AF, and I'm focused AF. We didn't talk about what the drink of the day.
A drink of today.
Oh, I guess we have to rewind it a little bit.
He's definitely not focused AF.
Yeah, I'm not focused AF. All right, so today we are enjoying some pina coladas.
Yes.
Special request of the guest.
Yes,
of
there's a
honor
guest today.
We have a guest, a very, very special guest today. And she requested some pina coladas. She was still on vacation when she got back from Mexico. Ooh. And I asked her, what do you want to drink?
Good choice.
And,
Good choice.
Mexico's fun.
Pina coladas.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't blend these, but hopefully you guys will find these acceptable.
They're very good. They're not the pina colada she probably had in Mexico.
I definitely would have preferred a frozen pina colada.
So I'm the only one that's not drinking?
Well, you said you didn't want any.
So I am the only one that's focused AF?
Yes.
Yeah. As of now.
All right, I see what you did there. Very smooth.
You're very smooth.
All right, so guys, welcome to the Focused AF podcast. My name is Ben.
I'm Jen.
This is Ro.
This is Karis.
And we have a very special guest today.
Why is the order always changing?
Yeah, something changed.
It was Jen. Yeah, it was Jen, you, me, and Ben. And Ben, why would you go?
It's okay. I like this little blooper here.
Always.
Keep it in there.
Always.
Today we have a very, very special guest joining us today. It's the one and only Emily Rashad. Am I pronouncing that right?
You are. I'm impressed.
Yay!
I definitely would have butchered your last name. So thankfully it was Ben introducing you.
She is if you guys don't know her, Emily is a social media expert. She's also a blogger. She does this for, I think, not just wedding creators, just for everyone. Anyone who needs help in this.
Creative small business owners, primarily wedding industry professionals, but I break out of the wedding industry every so often.
So, did you do anything exciting this weekend?
I went to visit my grandma, and that's exciting. She's 94, but she's like so fun.
Awesome.
So we hung out with her, drank, some champagne.
Ooh, okay, Grandma.
Go ahead, Grandma.
My grandma loves some champagne. My grandma, it's fireball season's coming to an end, so now we're moving on to the summer champagne. And
Grandma, come over to the podcast.
Honestly, you should. You really should. And so hung out at her house for the weekend and just enjoyed a relaxing weekend.
I love that. I love that.
Fun.
I love it.
What is your title exactly? How do you describe your, what you do? And because I don't know if I'm doing a fair job explaining.
No, you're doing a great job. It evolves all the time. So I'm still, working on the intro for myself. But yeah, social media manager, content writer for creative small business owners. Technically business owner. I have an LLC in my own name. So it feels a little redundant to be like Emily Rochat, founder of Emily Rochat LLC. But that's what it is. That's the truth of the matter. So if you want to call me business owner, entrepreneur, I don't know, expert sounded great. I'll roll with that. You want to call me an expert? Sure, I'll take it. Love it. Introduce me more.
Social media strategist.
How many words
person you should hire?
Yes, there we go.
Strategist, expert.
And how did you fall into this line of work?
Great question. It started probably when I had an internship in college. So in college, I was marketing manager. I was going to go into advertising, and then I had an internship at the Knot.
The Knot.
Yeah.
We have questions.
I had an internship at the Knot in their PR department, but I liked the content that they were putting out, and I was like, oh, maybe I, want to do some writing. But then also at that point, I was planning a lot of events on campus in college, and so I was like, maybe I want to do wedding planning. I wasn't sure. The wedding planning, that never happened. I was like, I want my weekends. So that one went away quickly, but I took a journalism class. I was going into my last semester in college after I had this internship, so I was like, I have to do a big pivot in a short amount of time. So I took an online journalism class, which got me acclimated to WordPress and everything, and I interned for How They Asked. It's an engagement and proposal site, and from there, that became my first job after college. And so I was starting to I wasn't planning to freelance after college. It's kind of just what happened. And so then I started doing more freelance writing. And then I was working with a lot of wedding publications that had small teams. So I was doing the content writing, but I was also doing the social media management. I'd write the post and I would promote it on all the platforms. So I got acclimated to all the sides, which helped me just kind of grow from there. And the wedding industry stuck and I never left. So it was not the intention when I was graduating college, but it's what happened and I love it. So I don't want to leave.
Yeah, we love these accidental success stories.
Yeah.
You know, like for all four of us, you know, this line of work that we kind of fell into all happened by accident. Like Bob Ross, happy little accidents. You know? We don't know how we got here, but we're happy that we're here.
We're happy little trees.
Happy little trees, happy little money trees. Yeah.
What kept you in the wedding world? Like, what did you love about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked that people were happy for the most part, you know. And then I think also, you know, from a practical business perspective, like people are always getting married. The industry will always be here. And it was just where I was continuing to gain knowledge and understanding and, you know, wedding trends and what wedding professionals were looking for. And so it's kind of what I focus on, but also the social media and writing practices apply outside of that. So I work with people that are outside of the wedding industry, but mainly also in a creative way.
I imagine you're writing for these companies, these brands, right? So, like, I imagine you probably have to write it in their voice, right? Mm-hmm. So, how does that process look like? Like, you know, because you have, you know, like for instance, J&R Photo and Ben Lau and Karis Lau, we all have different voices. We have different audiences that we serve, right? So how does that process look like if you have to write content for different brands with different voices and different audiences?
Yeah.
How does that process look like?
What does that process look like for me or for the person that's outsourcing me? It's a two-way street. I mean, for me, it looks like getting acclimated with the content they currently have, talking to them, reading their social media content, and asking them to identify, you know, what they feel like best looks like them in their writing and their work. You know, now with AI, maybe a little bit trickier because if they're not using their own voice, you know, we have to identify
it's a robot's voice.
Yeah, how we can, you know, I just put out an outsourcing guide recently for people who are thinking about outsourcing to kind of work through their own understanding of their brand, because a lot of times, you know, people will be like, here's my brand guide and this will help you, but it's their color codes and stuff, which is incredibly helpful. But I want to, right, from a visual aspect, but I want to know, you know, how do you start your emails? How do you sign your emails? What emojis are you using in your social media comments? You know, are these words that I'm going to hear you say, or these words I'm never going to hear you say? And so really a lot of work needs to go into it before you outsource. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm hiring a professional. They're the professional. They can do it. And we can, but we need your help before we can really
Is this the it's voice. Slapping emoji, this one?
High five?
Prayer hands?
Oh, it's slapping emoji. Fire emoji, fireball emoji, and it's slapping. That's what the Gen Z folks are saying these days, right?
It's slapping. See, and that's what when you hire someone else, they should never write that for you because Ben Lau never says those words.
Right, exactly. And I think, you know, even things that seem as small as emojis, they have different meanings to different generations. And working with clients of different generations, they'll be like, I use this, but I'm trying to attract this generation. I had a client one time and she was like, she loved the prayer hand emoji. And I was like, that is not the context that your audience thinks that it is. So it's, you know, just trying to understand who you're reaching. And sometimes people don't have that nailed down. Their ideal client avatar is really just, you know, I'm trying to reach women of this age in this location. And there's so much more to it than that.
You're telling me this is not the chocolate ice cream soft serve emoji?
I mean, the emoji dictionary would like to make you believe that. But, I mean, technically the little hair flip emoji is not a hair flip, but it's a hair flip.
Wait, what is it technically?
I want to say it was like something like kind of office job or something. It was like they were presenting something. If I remember correctly, it definitely wasn't a hair flip, and that was what I took away. I was like,
oh, see, so like, there's context for all these emojis and for things you say, and it can be misconstrued.
Next to the emoji, you know,
like what it is.
Yeah, like
interesting.
Hair flip.
You don't feel old before, now you feel old.
Yeah. So I mean, what you're saying is true because like we outsource. Well, we tried to outsource last year for like 3 months, and after a while, I realized it just wasn't working. Like, not speaking in our words, wasn't that like discovery of like talking to each other and figuring out how we talk, and then like
It was very generic.
yeah, a lot of the
Like
reels are like
ChatGPT, it's very generic.
yeah. So after a while, I just took it back in my hands, and I think
And it wasn't cheap either. So we were hoping it would have worked out because it was a good investment, but it didn't work out.
no, at some point we just took it back in our hands, and I think that was helpful too because I took the time to invest in like figuring out how to do things appropriately and do things in my voice, and that helped have like our clients be more relatable to us and have that more authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity is super key, for sure.
So how do you aside from like outsourcing, what do you recommend for photographers to generate the content for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, even if you are outsourcing, I think the biggest thing is managing your own engagement. That seems to be a thing that people want to outsource. They're like, I'm going to pay you for like 15 minutes a day. But that's really where I recommend that people keep it in-house always because you want to, that's where it's most authentic and also
personal.
Yeah, especially if you're starting a conversation, especially people who outsource like DM management and now a potential client is talking to you in the DMs and then they hire you and they're like that, you know, no matter how good the person you outsource to is, they're not you and they're not there. So they start this relationship as you and it's not. So always you're managing your own engagement and just building those relationships, but then back to your question, you said, how do you...
I guess generate the content
on your own?
Yeah.
The easiest place to start, if you're like really strapped on time, is to go through, you know, the photos that you're sending as your like peak gallery. Like I've worked with clients who will be like, these are like the best of my images. And then I would use those and they'd be like, I still don't like them. So I think part of it is really like understanding what represents you, but then also, you know, identifying what is going to give a cohesive portfolio. So as you're editing, you're like, I want to shoot more. It's beyond I want to shoot more weddings like this, but I want to shoot more details like this, and I want this for my portfolio, unless this is going to get really great engagement. Because working with photographers, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh, I really like this detail shot, and detail shots don't perform as well typically as content with people's faces in them. But sometimes you have to forego the engagement for the sake of building your portfolio. Because if I come to your Instagram and I'm ready to hire you, it's like, great, you can shoot the couples beautifully and all of your work with faces in it is great, but I also want you to shoot all this other stuff. So kind of making sure that you are really representing everything that you shoot and just kind of organizing that in a folder, regardless of whether you plan to outsource or not. When and if the day comes when you're like, I'm outsourcing this, none of your stuff is organized. Mm-hmm. It makes your life hard. It makes you not want to outsource. It makes our lives hard. So as you go, organizing the best content that you plan to use on social media, regardless of whether you're working with somebody or not, will help you also keep track of, you know, what you're posting, because you may not realize, oh, I, you know, thought I had a wide array of content, but I don't. I'm posting faces all the time.
So you talk about like sharing a wide variety of content, right? So let's say you have details and portraits and candids and stuff like that, right? But do all of those have to be the featured image for that post, or can you just put all of that into one carousel? Do you think that'll do the same job just as well, or should it be the featured image for that carousel?
I think it shouldn't, from the perspective that if I'm coming to your feed and I'm like quickly scrolling through your feed to just kind of vet you and like check out your portfolio, if your best image is on the front, and by best I mean highest engaging best, then I'm not going to see those detailed shots. In a carousel post, if I scroll past this and I don't like your first image, Instagram's going to feed it again with the second image and then the third.
Oh, they do that?
They do, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
We learned something new today, guys.
Good, that's what I want.
Been noticing that like it'll start off on like a second or third image, and I'll have to go back.
Like the
Carousels.
Yeah,
carousels.
and I always go back because I'm crazy
Like,
like
oh, I
that.
missed
I
it.
want to
Yeah,
start
yeah,
from the
yeah,
first
me too.
image. Yeah. So
I put it there for a reason.
Yeah. So you will get another chance typically to show that content. So it's really about, in my opinion, putting the best image of that gallery that showcases your work as the cover, because that's what's going to pop up to them first, but that's what's going to be on their feed when they come.
So I could potentially put a detail shot as the second photo, just in case.
Yeah,
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of starting off with a detail shot.
Yeah.
is that what you like? You like shooting
I
details?
don't shoot details that much. I don't do the flat lays.
But if you feel that your whatever detail shot you shot. A little too close. A little close, babe. So if you feel that your detail shot is like bomb, like fire, then
Slapping?
show it.
It's slapping.
Like
hand
like
slapping.
one-
fire,
yeah.
Fire emoji.
Yeah, fire emoji, you know. Once I did a Instagram reel with like, motion blur reception decor with cups and flowers. And I created a reel, and that was my first image. And Instagram instantly like, oh my gosh, you are trendsetter. Like, I'm like,
Well, she is. She's Karis effing Lau, silver award winner. That's the way I have to address her when I'm home. It's Karis effing Lau, silver award winner.
Yeah.
Do you ever come across, because here's the problem with wedding photographers. We love certain images. That's what we want to post. But there's no, it's like our favorite. It's our wow image, but it is only to us. Or other photographers, but doesn't speak to a couple or clientele. Your audience.
Yeah.
And I guess as someone who manages for other people, how do you manage it? I mean,
emotional attachment.
You keep showing the same shit over and over again, bro.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
Like from a strategic perspective, right? Like, I would much rather put a photo that tells a story that someone could connect to, as opposed to like a more dramatic OCF lit shot that might do well, but it's like, it's okay. Like, how do you manage photographers like that, or working with people like that who think they're I don't know,
know best.
they can't let go?
Great question.
You're about to prevent a divorce from happening. Depending on how you answer this, Emily, choose your words. Choose your words very carefully.
I think.
Who gets the pool this summer?
Who's sleeping in the pool house?
No pressure. Oh boy. You're right. I do encounter that. I mean, everyone is their own critic of, like, their harshest critic of their own work. I think when people, I'm nervous now. I'm nervous. I'm not. See, it's fine. You're fine. When people are hiring photographers for their wedding, a lot of times they've never hired a photographer, and so it's, they're going with what they like. And they aren't going to be like this very specific styled shot that was shot in this light. Some people are, and that you're reaching those people, but it's not just about, putting that like best image from every gallery, but that is important. Thinking about beyond just like, this is my best like photography work, like what is also like, what are people looking for in addition to that? They want to make sure that, their family, they're going to have shots of their family that they're going to have forever, even after that family member's gone. They want to make sure that, they can see their friends looking happy. They want to remember the details that they might forget if they don't have the photos. So making sure that you are really encompassing everything, even if you're like, this isn't my best photo. Like the cake may not be your best photo from the whole wedding, but pick which one is the best photo of that cake, because people like those photos. Cake photos get great engagement.
So basically, what she's saying, I think, if I'm saying this, if I'm understanding her correctly, she said this already. Like, just show a wider variety,
a broader range, yeah,
a broader range. Because the thing is, if you just show in portraits, every single header image for your entire feed is a couple's portrait in the same pose, even though it's a great picture. It's basically the same song and dance, just different backdrop, different couple, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really show the strength and breadth and depth of what you're able to do for the clients.
Right. Yeah. And you want to make sure that you have a variety, because if you're picking your top image of every wedding, then you're also probably picking that top image for your website. And now if I come to your website from your Instagram or vice versa, it's the same. And now I'm like, oh, maybe you actually don't shoot that well because you only have
You're
a
a
very
one-trick
small,
pony.
yeah, you only have a very small amount of images that you think are good enough to show the people to hire you. So, I would make sure that you really are not being as hard on yourself about what images you're choosing, because people are hiring you for all of your shots. Please don't get divorced. I think it's really fine.
I think we already crossed that road years ago.
Yeah, it was more of a battle years ago, and then we just sort of learned as a husband and wife to kind of stay in your lane.
You find your lane, you stay in it.
Just stay in your lane,
I would go on Instagram and I just see what Jen posted, and I'll look at her like, you're watering down our brand.
That was his favorite line, watering down our brand.
Why would you post this?
Okay.
That's how I feel when the client sneaks a photo in that they like don't tell you about. I'm like, we curated something and we
Guys, let me tell you something. Like, for a while, I was managing my own social media, right? And I would get 50 likes or whatever, right? It's not a high engagement. But then every now and then, Karis would pop in there, put out some some obscure photo of something silly, something stupid, right? And we'll get 200 likes. I'm like, what the fuck? What happened? Like, I don't know Like,
because I know
She's
things.
Karis effing loud. That's correct.
She's a trendsetter.
Award winner. But I think that also goes to like what we experience too, or I think brands in general now.
They wanna
everyone
see
likes
you.
to see your work, but they want to see you. Like
Thank
Who's
you.
behind the camera? Yeah.
Yes.
behind the, we keep telling so many of our friends,
Yes,
like you need
yes.
to put yourself out there. Your work is great, but the new generation wants to know the people behind the
people
camera.
buy
side,
you.
yep.
Yeah.
The
You
story,
are the brand.
The story
Yeah.
of you.
Because I preach this all the time. You know, pretty pictures at cheap prices, or even at fair or reasonable prices, you can find that anywhere. Talent, like especially in our market, Northern New Jersey and New York City, it's dripping wet, super saturated with talent, amazing talent, and it's affordable too. Okay,
Yep.
so like you're competing against that.
Yeah.
You know, and what makes you different? You are what's different. You know what I mean?
I hear a lot now from people about like they're specific, and they'll tell us specifically they're booking the vendors that they book because they can connect with them, they know who they are, or like they're picking vendors specifically that they'll work well with on the wedding day, and it hasn't been so much about the product. Maybe I mean they love our images as well, but they're saying like I've picked this videographer because he answered my email in an hour, or was very communicative with us, or the venue because the staff was great on our tour, and it's more of like. They wanted more of experience, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I think with video content, especially with things like TikTok, I'm like, you just need to show up. I saw that face. You need to show up because people are. It's about the relationship. Like your work can be great, but if I find you a miserable person to be around, like I don't want you at like this very happy day in my life because I don't get along with you.
But we talked earlier about authenticity, right? But like, what if, dancing in front of a camera pointing at words doesn't feel authentic to us?
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. The dancing thing is out. You never have to dance ever. No, it's just about, I think the video is really about like, that might water down your brand, so I don't want to do that. It's really about providing something that people can take away. So what I really see with wedding professionals that are doing video content, TikTok especially, but also Reels, like, the content that's performing the best is people who literally just like sit down with their phone and like share a tip or answer a question because people don't know. People most likely haven't planned their wedding before, or if they have, it's been a while since they did it last. And a lot of times you might be your first friend getting married and you're like, who do I even ask? And all I have are these professionals to rely on. So it's just about, that's where the relationship starts. And then also showing up with pictures and video of yourself on your feed. I know some people are like, this ruins my Instagram feed because it doesn't, match the aesthetic that I'm going for. But you have to show up. You have to be yourself. It helps your engagement. Posts of you are going to skyrocket in engagement. And I call it the 70-year-old man test. Like if I come to your Instagram, like how long do I have to scroll before I can determine that you're not a 70-year-old man?
Ah.
Or if you are and you're listening to this, pick a different age, pick a different whatever works. But for some people, it takes a long time, and I really shouldn't have to scroll back like beyond that first like 9 or 12 grid to know like who you are, especially if you're not using your face in your profile photo. I mean, you should be, but it's if you have a big company or something, it's difficult. So, who am I getting? Who am I working with? Don't hide yourself.
Some people want to hide themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just someone I know. This person's afraid that their age might deter younger clients. So this person doesn't like to show themselves on social media.
You got to stop talking about Blake from Brooklyn.
So I guess like just like why hide yourself? Well, whatever age you are, I think you should just be yourself. Like what you just said. I feel like no matter the age, if they can find something to connect with you, they're gonna connect with you anyway.
Right. And that's, if you're worried about your age, I mean, that's also where it's important to show your work because who cares how old you are if this is the work that I'm getting.
Exactly.
100%. People just care. I think the clients, yes, they do care about the person behind the brand, but what they really care about is like your work. Can you produce the work that you're showing? Can we trust you that you're going to produce this work? That's really it, I think.
There's nothing wrong with being a 70-year-old man on Instagram. FYI, I'm just saying. If that's what you are, I want to know.
We know right away for your catfish.
Now, I have a question for you. So let's say, TikTok, I know it's been around for a little while, actually a long while, right? So let's say there's someone who's just getting started with TikTok, who's just producing video content, right? They don't really have an audience there. And you're just producing content. How do you start?
Oh my God, are we going to see Ben Lau on TikTok?
Dancing?
And pointing at words? Please. So if someone were to just get started with that, right? They just started producing content. How do they start building an audience on that platform?
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's about providing value. So what I usually recommend when we're trying to come up with content ideas and what we're going to do, I ask people to sit down and write down their 5 most frequently asked questions and then the 5 questions that they wish that their clients were asking to make the process easier. So maybe people are asking you, what time of day is best to shoot, but you also wish they were asking you like what to wear because sometimes they show up and you're like, this is not going to photograph well. So writing down those questions and then each one being its own video, you already have 10 videos. And really it just is a matter of sitting down with your phone and filming yourself and not worrying about, what you're wearing or, some people put it off for so long. Oh, I don't have a ring light. Oh, I don't have a camera. I don't have this. I don't have that. But like,
don't look good.
exactly. And the thing is like, people don't care how you look if you give them value. They're looking for the value. They don't care what you look like. They're not judging you as harshly as they're judging yourself. So, if you're going to get started, it's just about committing to it. I find, especially with TikTok, because people think if it didn't go viral, it didn't do well, which is not the case at all. People are like, oh, I'm going to, make 10 videos and I'm going to call it a day. Same thing when they outsource social media. They give it like a month or 2 and they're like, this didn't work. And it's like with anything, especially if you're outsourcing like 6 months minimum is going to take to see results. TikTok, you can't just throw it away and you can't just like expect it to take off overnight, but also making sure that you're making content that can be recycled. People get burnt out so fast because they're like, I have to make these TikTok videos and I have to make this Instagram content and Pinterest and all of these things.
So much.
But it's like
my head hurts.
Right, but we can just recycle. We can just recycle it. That's why I always try to tell people to film outside the app as much as you can. So you have that content and you can use
repurpose it
it
for the different platforms.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's just on the content creation side, right? So how do we distribute it so that we can grow an audience? I mean, how do people find our content if you're just like a nobody who just started?
For TikTok specifically, it's about hashtags. It's about making sure all your videos have captioning because TikTok's picking up on those words, but especially the words that you add to the screen. So there's auto captioning, but the text that you're adding to the screen, they're picking up on that from Instagram.
Oh, there's an algorithm looking through the keywords.
Right.
Keywords
It's same thing with Instagram. They're really picking up on keywords more. So making sure you're still using hashtags, but they're picking up on keywords in your caption. They're picking up, Instagram's picking up the keywords in your title. For me, it's like if my handle says Emily Rose Shot, I don't need to say that again necessarily in my title. I want to make sure I have keywords in there like social media manager. So making sure for photographers that you're putting like where you shoot. Same thing with your TikTok bio, like, where you shoot, where you're located, and what kind of style of photography it is that you do. So that's a good way. And then engagement, you can't expect people to come and like your stuff and follow you if you're not doing it back. So going and looking for people, you can train the TikTok algorithm pretty quickly to know what you're looking for, and it will feed you videos of clients that you're looking for. So don't, if you're really looking to have clients delivered to your feed to like and engage, don't use TikTok to, watch videos of dogs and interact with all that content.
Actually, I love that thought process as well because, with a lot of my students, I tell them, listen, you guys have to really engage in that social aspect of social media. A lot of people, I feel like sometimes they're just putting out content and waiting for the fish to come. But the thing is, they're not necessarily just returning a favor, but like they're not engaging with other people's stuff.
It's the same way of having a website with just pretty images.
Right?
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's all you're doing, right? You're just waiting for people to come to you. But the thing is, if you want love, sometimes you got to give love first.
Yeah.
Right? If you want attention, sometimes you have to give attention first. And that's free for you to give, So it sounds like with TikTok, it would probably fall into that same kind of strategy, I guess. Like go out and engage with others on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And get that.
Yeah, and then once people start asking you questions in the comments, you can use those questions in your video. It'll pop up with a little box of the question. So responding to people that way, they're giving you free content. You're giving them free answers. Everybody wins. So using what people are asking you to really just serve people. And because I see on TikTok especially so many couples are making videos after their wedding. And so people are getting all their wedding planning advice from them, which is great. It's very helpful. But you have a business, you want to make money, giving that information. So it would be helpful to get it from you because at the end of the day, if you're not there, your competitor is there and they're gonna find them instead. Or they're gonna find a couple who, has only planned their own wedding and that's just one perspective.
Yeah. I think wedding talk is like a huge, it's a very weird world of like just vendors, people planning their wedding. They'll take you through the entire wedding process on these short, 5-second clips and then just go viral and people will rack up thousands of followers just just on weddings. I mean, which is great, but I think us as photographers, we don't know how to leverage that yet, or just want to put in the work to leverage it.
I think the other thing that I'm scared about is like, you know, I always hear on the news that TikTok's always days away or weeks away from being canceled and like taken out of the app store for like, you know, spying on their users and stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna put on all this effort into building an audience and putting out all this content. You know, I don't want it taken away from me. You know.
Yeah. So, yes, I hear you. I look at that a different way in that if the app disappeared tomorrow, you know, in Montana, they're saying January it'll go away. There's so much that you can do between now and January. And there's so many, even if it disappeared next week and I told you like you could reach 1,000 people by next week, you know, with one video, like, are you going to say, oh, no, I don't care about those 1,000 people?
We can open up a studio in China. It'll still be active in China. We can open up photo studios in China. You guys are gonna have to learn Chinese. I gotta learn Chinese.
But that's where the repurposing comes in, really, because if I film these TikTok videos and TikTok goes away, then I can just, you know, post them on Reels. And TikTok may go away, but the next thing is going to replace it. So, you know, you need to make the content. The content needs to exist.
So you're saying don't use the TikTok videos in your Instagram Reels and stories?
I'm not saying no. What I'm saying is remove the watermark. There are plenty of third-party apps to do that. Ideally, film outside the app so you have that native video that can go wherever and you can edit it however you want for each thing. But yeah, please stop downloading your TikToks and just popping them on Instagram with the watermark. I'm sending with Reels. Take the real watermark off.
Yeah. Can TikTok still tell that the video was created in Instagram?
They're smart. They know.
I use Instagram templates a lot because they're a lifesaver, and the time is just like, I can make a reel in like 20 minutes or less. And I've noticed, and I didn't learn until recently to remove the watermark. So our videos would get like 200 maybe when I had the watermark. And then I learned how to remove the watermark, and I'm still like below that range, around that range. I'm like, they probably know that I made this in the Instagram.
If you kept words on it, for sure, because so then that helps. And without the watermark, that also helps. And, you know, if you're going into TikTok and adding TikTok-specific features like text and things, that's helping too. You know, each app just like wants you to spend all your time with them, and they don't like when you
do stuff outside.
So maybe I'll just download it right away from Instagram without the text, and then just redo the text in TikTok.
Are you talking about Reels or stories?
Reels.
You know, I do my Reels through Final Cut, like through a third-party app, and then I upload it directly into Instagram.
Yeah, I make all my stuff.
And I make all my, and I get, you know, depending on how good the gallery is, and how popular the couple is.
Vixer is really good for. I use Vixer for.
I'll get good engagement. Yeah, you know, 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for me on Instagram. What I'm saying is like when I make it on Instagram and then take it over to TikTok. TikTok could know that I made it.
You're still way ahead of me. I don't. I mean, I have a TikTok. I have a TikTok account. I think it's got 2 videos in it. I think that's it.
For now.
Are there 2 videos of you dancing?
That's why I'm not viral.
You have so much content from your weekly lives that you can.
Well, right now I'm outsourcing
TikTok.
I outsourced that, so I gave him the videos, and I was like, do something with it, see what you got, and then.
Even his Instagram, Ben doesn't really post. Yeah, he has so much content, but he doesn't. I was like,
he's too busy on Facebook groups.
Yeah,
He's too busy.
I was like, stopping on Facebook.
Guys, my plates are full. I have so much work. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but I'm hosting a conference later this January.
Yeah, plenty of time.
No, I have, and I also have a coaching group, and I have so much stuff that I got to do. So
This is your bread and butter.
I got to outsource a lot of this stuff. You know, I took on less bookings this year, so that way I can focus on this stuff. And you know what? And everyone makes fun of me for, like when I say less bookings, it's like 35. Everyone's, are you kidding me? 35 is like a full calendar.
It is.
But like for me, that's a lighter load, so I can do all this other stuff.
Yeah. So Emily, what advice would you give for us photographers in the older generation? We always say we're getting older, but our clients
Speak for yourself.
Our clients are staying the same age. So, and I think that's why a lot of social media has evolved into, I think the younger generation wants more tips. They like more exciting videos. How can us older folk adapt to the ever-changing generation?
Okay, well, you're not old, first of all. Not the older
Why you guys keep looking at me?
How can you adapt? It's about staying true to yourself. Like, I think sometimes people, Gen Z especially, they don't want to look at this and be like, oh, they're trying too hard. And that's what I see. People are like, oh, I learned a slang word today. And like, now I got to tell you that this image really ain't. Like, so people like don't do that. You have to keep being yourself. And I think it is important to stay up on trends, even if you hate whatever it is that somebody's doing, being aware of what a generation is interested in and also understanding where you see it. Like if I see one more piece of content about the new trend about cutting your hair in between your ceremony and your reception, like just because that's a trend and people are talking about it and younger generations are doing it doesn't mean that like you have to be like, I want to shoot this, or I have to have this in my portfolio, or I am looking for that. Maybe you are. Maybe you're like, that's really cool and I want to shoot that, but not feeling like you need to adapt to every trend, but understanding them and understanding what people are looking for in a more overall concept, less the very minute trend and more, what people are looking for authenticity. People are looking for quality-minded vendors. People are, looking for this, looking for that. Like the overall trend is important, and continuing to show work and just remember that you need to be open to change. People are kind of like, I've always done this and I've done it for this way for 20 years. And so you have to deal with it. And that's fair. You are the professional, but also being open to hearing from your clients, like what it is that they want in their wedding. Because if you say no to somebody and then every couple comes and they're like, I want this, eventually it's like, oh, maybe I do need to try that. So going into it with an open mind and you're not trying to be that generation. You're just trying to understand them.
Exactly. And like being open to change.
Understanding them and not being them.
Being open to change, because I think a lot of us are sticklers to remaining the same way we are and don't understand why things aren't working anymore.
Yep, we're all guilty of that.
Yeah, I think we should all evolve with the times. It's I've come across some veterans in the industry, and God bless them, because if it not for them, we wouldn't have what we have today. They held the fort down for so many years, right? We have to be grateful for that. However, as Emily mentioned before, the times do change. You have to evolve your style a little bit. You can still be true to yourself and be authentic to your message and what you're trying to accomplish, but I think there's still room for evolution in your style and how you approach your business. You can still take care of yourself and be authentic to your brand while serving the clients at the same time. Because I think why there's sometimes some resistance with the older generation or the veterans who've been doing this for a while. There's some resistance because they're like, well, I don't want to sell out. I don't want to just chase the latest trends and whatever's cool at the moment, because I've been doing this for 30 years.
But also some of the stuff that's trendy is stuff that they did 30 years ago. So they did it at one point. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why some people have that like mentality of like, I'm not doing it. It's something they already did. Just have
spot
to
coloring.
polish
spot coloring, direct flash.
Yeah, the direct flash, the motion blur, that's been around for forever.
I think more so too, like when they were younger, they did what was trending at the time. I guess because they were, like you said, they were more that was their generation. But now they have to adapt and, like you said, understand the newer generation. And try to learn to speak to them
while being authentic to themselves.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a huge struggle for some of the folks that have been doing it for a while too. They just don't want to feel like they're selling out to whatever's latest and greatest.
Yeah.
And it's okay to try things. Are you opposed to something just because it's new and there's fear with new things, or are you opposed to it because it's just not what you want? Like, I think, there's a big trend on TikTok of like certain trends that you do while you're getting ready for your wedding. And I'm sure some makeup artists would be like, I want no part of this. Like, let me come do my work and leave. And then others are probably like, well, I just, I'm not used to like stopping my work to film a transition video, but like, sure, let's try it. So it's a matter of, are you just afraid to try it, which is valid. We are all allowed to be afraid of things and still try them and be really great at them. Or are we just like, that's not, part of my brand and I don't want it at all.
I think for most is the copying aspect of it. At least for me, that's always been a block for me. Like if I see something that's trendy and I have a couple that ask for it, of course I'll do it. I probably won't show it. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, I also don't want to be the follower. I would rather, maybe put my spin on it if I can. But usually they're asking for you to replicate this exact scene or shot, which sometimes the mental aspect of it is like, I don't want to copy this. Everybody's already doing it.
All right. So instead of like, hey, these are my Pinterest boards. Well, these are the TikToks I want to try to copy.
Yeah.
It's this generation's Pinterest board. You know what I mean?
On the lines of ever-evolving technology and things, let's talk Chat GPT. You had a very emotional response to that.
I saw her like kind of shaking a little bit, like a little twitch. I saw Emily twitching in the corner of my eye. I see Emily twitching over there. I'm not sure if it's the Pina Colada doing it or, it triggered an emotional response.
We did a whole AI episode last week about how it affects us photographers, but I'd love to hear how things like that affect copywriters and social media management.
I mean, it depends, right? There are always going to be the people that see the value in having a human voice. I understand it because you're starting out. You don't have the money to outsource, but you need help. There's that fine line between I don't have the budget, but I really just need another, I need something. And so AI, I understand it. I think you really need to make sure that you take the time and effort into reading it and being like, does this sound like me? It's not like let me have this write my social media caption and I post it and like this is going to help me like throw out the content. While you're doing it, you need to sit down and fully be like, okay, it took me this long to insert all of my wedding details and it took me this long to have it generate the caption and it took me this long to have me edit it. And in that time, could I have just written it myself? So making sure that you're really like keeping account of that, because I think that the thought is, oh, AI is so much quicker. But you have to make sure that it is, depending on what you're doing. It may be, it may not be. And making sure that it sounds like you and that you're editing it well. It's like you guys, I'm sure, some people are like, oh, it's going to take away our jobs. I logged onto LinkedIn the other day and the first post was this woman who was like, if you haven't been a copywriter for 5 years, like you're done. AI has replaced you. And I was like, that's intense and harsh and not true. But then other people are like, people either see the value in a human voice or they don't. And if they don't, you can't make them. And AI will be the solution. And it can help you. You just have to know how to use it properly.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
Yep.
And you don't have to. Just because it's new doesn't mean you have to like start using ChatGPT to write your stuff. The more we put into it, the more that they're learning. So we're helping them. I was like, AI is taking over. And I'm like, you're helping it. Same with algorithms. People are like, the TikTok algorithm knows too much. And I'm like, because you told it.
Yeah.
You helped it.
Yep.
I don't think they realize it's a form of AI itself.
Yeah.
So we've been training all these tools for years now.
Yes.
Right?
Are you guys using ChatGPT?
I used it one time.
To make a blog post.
Yeah, and then I just tweaked it all myself because it was like use very like magical, mystical wedding words, and I was like, that's not. I don't talk like I don't use words like this.
Ephemeral emotions.
Like, this is useless. But I hear people use it for like very weird and like you can use it for like way more advanced things. I didn't know it was possible.
You can write essays, whole term papers.
Not even. You could just have it like create a menu for you. Like if you have like friends go over for dinner.
Yeah, you can create a pricing packaging for your pricing
collection.
pages.
Yeah, you can do
travel itineraries, all of it.
See, those are useful things that I never thought of, but it does way more than what you think it does.
Now I'm gonna go home and create a bunch of travel itineraries.
Next travel.
I wonder if ChatGPT can like do like dad jokes or like pickup lines.
Oh, sure.
100%.
It can.
But now Ben's gonna have a whole repertoire.
I know. I was like, we know where Ben's. That should be your TikTok account. Dad jokes from ChatGPT.
What does a robot sound like when it's telling dad jokes?
Oh my god.
Do you have the ChatGPT app on your phone already?
Do I have it?
He's been using.
Well, I don't know. Is there an actual app?
There's an app for it now, yeah, for your phone.
I know some photographers are using it to answer emails, and they'll send it to me, and I'm just like, this sounds nothing like you. You could barely like speak full sentences in person, and when they meet you, they're gonna know it wasn't you.
You sound like an idiot.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, you should really be tweaking it. Like,
You're
you
right.
should be.
Yeah, at least.
So do you social media managers have like that inner fear that, or I'm sure some of you have that like anxiety that some photographers have of like, it's taking my job.
It's gonna take over.
I think we all do, but I think it comes from people who are saying it. It's going to take over our jobs. What's your backup? And could it? Sure, robots could take over everything one day. If we let them and we use it. But I think it can help you in the base and the outlines and all of that. And what you do with that is up to you. I saw somebody post on Facebook the other day that they had, been writing content for a company, making a lot of money. They had been let go last year, and the company wanted to hire them back to edit all of their AI content for half the cost. If you don't use AI properly and you start to offend people in that way, like that's not going to help you either. So do I think it will take our jobs? No. Will it change them? Yes. But you want to work with people who are going to see the value in it anyway. So if somebody's like, oh, I could just, AI could take over the editing, like that's not who you want to work with anyway.
Yeah.
True.
I think it just narrows down the exact clientele.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll affect, like you said, it'll affect some people. But
Weird.
you gotta pivot.
Yeah. You know I hate that word, but
Yeah. That's why I said it.
it's a weird, weird world that we're in right now. So
Are you only using ChatGPT, or are you using other like Google Bard or Canvas AI?
I've used ChatGPT one time. I haven't used anything else. I'm like, I'm good. He used more of the A stuff for like editing.
Editing, yeah. We have a friend
Photoshop.
that uses it. Like he'll create I'm not sure which one he's using though. He'll create like an Instagram post and tell the AI to create a blog post from that. And they'll take all the vendors that he tagged as well and make a blog post out of it. So he still has to go in and write like, the content, but it at least helps him turn that post into a blog. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how it makes a blog out of like your
Yeah.
2-sentence caption on
Yeah.
Instagram. Into
You
a blog
like
post.
tell it like I want this many words, and you kind of feed it. But I'm curious to see the future of the legal perspective of it, because is that my content? Is that
Right.
ChatGPT's content? If I edit something, like I saw Canva has an AI tool now to replace something. Like if I'm holding this cup and like I can make it hold some product. And so are people going to start using it to promote products that they're not promoting? And, I'm curious, like, from that perspective, what that will look like legally and when that starts to kind of take effect.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something that we need to use with caution, but be open to understanding.
So aside from social media, is blogging dead?
No,
Why?
never. For SEO purposes, for the ability for people to share, if you blog and you send that to the couple and the couple sends it to their family, you're getting it out in the world, not just from a clickback perspective and reach, but also from a, it's PR, it's getting your name out. Somebody, you send that to the couple, they send it to their mom's, coworkers, like, oh, let me see your child's wedding. Mm-hmm. Here's the blog post, because all the pictures are there. It's easy to pull up. So it's a real life tool. It's an online SEO tool. It's not dead. I hate when people say blogging's dead.
Yeah, I don't think it's
too.
that either.
I don't think it's that either. No.
And the people that say it, they just
Don't want to blog.
They're lazy.
And they're the same ones complaining that they have no work.
It is a lot of work. If you're doing it the right way, it is an extra work.
It is more than just posting on
Yeah.
Instagram, but yeah.
But we're going to circle back on this when we talk about, the sales and marketing portion of today's podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll circle back to this.
On
in a
the
little
blogging aspect. But I guess tying in blogging and social media, tell us like when people should post, how often, what to do, what not to do.
bit. Give us your actionable tips.
Yeah. How often? Everybody's going to tell you something different, right? I hate when I like speak on a panel and somebody's like, you need to post every day. Or I spoke recently and somebody's like, I post TikToks 3 times a day. And that's really wonderful. That's really great. And and that's great for some people. But it's a matter of what's manageable, because nothing is worse than when like I see people who are like, I had a lot of time, and so I like planned on my Instagram feed for 2 weeks and like here's all the content, and then busy season starts or something happens, and then the Instagram is dead again for like a few months. And so in an ideal world, like we're posting a lot of content, but that's not real. And so there's a line between like I'm making excuses that I don't have time when I'm just not making the time, and I really don't have the time because I'm serving my clients in other ways. So it's about what you can manageably keep up with. And so if I have 1 day a month where I can like make 15 Instagram posts, then you're going to schedule those for, every other day for the month until next month when you have that 1 day. I think at a minimum, you want to write a blog post. You want to take the content from that blog post and you want to turn that into Instagram posts. You want to turn the topics that you're writing about in the blog post, you want to turn those into TikTok videos, and really just like, what can I like extract from this blog post? And I'm not talking like a real wedding feature. You can do that too, but I'm talking about something that is educational and a topic that people are searching for. Or maybe you are writing a blog post about someone's wedding at a certain venue and you really want to get on their preferred list and you want to put more content out about them. So when people Google that venue, they find you, or they search that venue on Instagram or TikTok especially, they're finding you. So taking that blog post, taking the topics from it, and turning each section into its own video. Less is more on the video thing. I see people who want to like tell a whole story. Just take those like little actionable tips from a blog post and turn those into several videos, and then take that content from the video or even a quote that you said in the video and turn that into a quote post on Instagram or the caption to go with a photo on Instagram. And just like one blog post can really get you through, 2 to 4 weeks if you want it.
That's crazy. That's a lot of content.
A lot of work.
Well, that's not your lane.
Exactly.
That's your wife's lane. That's why.
Get on and on.
I think too often people are like, I make one blog post, and with that blog post comes one Instagram and maybe one TikTok video, and then we have to start over. But we also forget that people are not watching us as closely as we think they're watching us. And so just because you posted that photo from that wedding doesn't mean you can't post a similar photo from that wedding several weeks later with something different from that blog post, or, a different tip or something that has nothing to do with the wedding, but has something to do with like an actionable message that goes along with something that you learned from that wedding. So not being afraid to put more out there unless, they saw that best image from the wedding and now we're done with that. The blog post is written and we're moving on to the next thing. And also not worrying about being so timely. I find people are like, I didn't blog this wedding from last month and now I've shot 2 weddings since then and that's the end. I can't, it's old now and I can't touch it, or I can't post that on Instagram, or people saw me post stories last week. And so if I don't post that wedding for another couple months, they're going to be like, why did they take so long? People, they don't.
They're busy.
They're
They're
watching
busy.
me. They're watching me.
Right. People are like, this has to go up now. The wedding's happening. I have to post in real time. No, you don't.
I think that's good. It helps relieve a lot of the pressure that we put on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah. Don't use this as an excuse to not do it for the people listening. Be like, I only have to write 1 blog post a month and then I'm done. If you have the time, more can definitely be helpful, but making sure that when you do sit down to write that one, that you really are putting time into it and focusing on the keywords that you want to rank for, and, checking your Google Analytics in an ideal world. I hope we're doing that, but I know that that's like a whole other thing. And, really making sure that it's serving the purpose that you want it to serve.
That was helpful. Really helpful.
What's a good way to like strategize and plan and schedule like a calendar to like really put out all this content?
It really is about how much time you can make for it. Like if you like setting aside at least one day to be like, this is my content.
1 day a week, 1 day a month.
1 day a month, at least. Like I would sit down and I would be like, this is what we're going to plan. And then I'm going to write the blog post. And then from there, I'm going to pull the content out of it.
And then plan for the whole month. On that one day.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a whole day. For some people, that's not how they work. That's not how your focus works. I can't sit down and do one project for a whole day.
That's a lot.
So for some people, they're like, yes, this is my content day, and then I'm done. For other people, it's setting aside 15 minutes, to plan your content for the week, and then like another hour to like make that content.
Yeah.
A lot of the time saving comes from not being as hard on yourself. Once you start getting into like video and you're like, oh, this is like a 1 to 2 take project versus like I filmed this TikTok 50 times and like maybe I like take 45 and now I gotta, crop it and edit it. It takes more time in the beginning, and I think allowing yourself to factor that in and know that if you keep doing this, you'll save time. Because too often people are like, that took me too long. I'm not doing TikTok because I don't have an hour to make a video. But if you do that hour will become half an hour, will become 15 minutes. And
Quicker.
it's about, prioritizing your marketing. And especially now, I hear a lot of people talk about the engagement, how engagements were down because of COVID. So now there's like a lull in weddings because people weren't getting engaged at the same rate that they were. So people are kind of like, I'm not booking as many weddings.
Yes.
But if you've been marketing the whole time, then you can feel confident that people will find you when they're ready.
Yep.
Whereas people are like, well, I'm busy, I'm not marketing because I'm set right now. But then when busy season starts to die down, it's like, well, how come I'm not getting bookings? You have to make time for the social media, for the blogging, even if you're just like, I hate blogging and I don't want to do this. Or you pay someone like me to outsource it for you. But I wouldn't, and I think on the flip side, content's great. Blogging is wonderful. But if you're somebody who is like, I am sitting in a pile of 100 weddings and like, I can't even touch that because I can't even fathom like starting that. It's really just about, maybe it's less, I feel like I have to blog every real wedding that I've done, and more, hey, here's 3 weddings I've done that have central themes, and I'm going to make a blog post about that theme, or I'm going to make a blog post about that venue, and here are different weddings that I shot at that venue. So it's less about, I have to get every couple, and more, how can I take the content that I have and serve people moving forward.
Yeah, I think we're in the industry where we have pretty much the most amount of content. To put
We're
we are so
fortunate.
privileged that we have a plethora of imagery that we can post on Instagram where other industries suffer, like
They have to pay.
accountants, videographer. Well, videographers now they have video, which is great, but like so many other industries struggle to put their content together. We have a whole library.
Right.
So like you said, some people think of a theme, post a reel on your favorite silhouettes or off-camera flash shots or reception photos. Like, just think of all these things that happen during a wedding day, and that is your post. And you can just have we have all that stuff already. You don't have to go searching for it.
Now, Emily, you mentioned earlier, you have one day, figure out all your content, and then I guess either on that day or another day, schedule it all out, right? So what kind of platform are we talking about when we're scheduling this stuff out? Because for a while, I was using Buffer. I have used Hootsuite in the past. I know Meta has they have their own little interface where you can schedule stuff on Instagram and Facebook, but it's a little clunky for me, but I don't know if that's the same experience for everyone. Maybe I'm using it wrong. So, my understanding is, some of these platforms, there's I don't know if there's like a penalty or some sort when you use these programs, that you might get punished on the platform by using these schedulers, because I guess they want you to be on these platforms live when you're posting. I mean, what's the truth in any of this?
Wonderful questions. So many in there. So to start with, what do you?
That's kind of how my brain works.
What do you? What do you use? It's different for every platform, because you're right. Like, Meta is great, especially if you're not looking to spend money, and you can post your Facebook and your Instagram posts for free. But if you're also posting on Pinterest, now that's another scheduling tool. TikTok is more difficult. There's only a couple. And then are you going to post Instagram stories, and are you making an Instagram story in Canva and it's all done and you're just throwing up one graphic that already has the text, or are you trying to edit it? So it is personal preference. Are you being penalized? That is the eternal debate. Some people would say yes. I'm sure Meta would love if you scheduled all your Meta content with them. But it also is a matter of, is scheduling going to help you get out more content? If I'm scheduling my content and that means that I'm posting 15 times in a month versus I have to sit down and make the time to manually post this, and now I'm only posting 5. Even if you take a hit, that's still not going to be anywhere as big of a hit as only posting a few times because you had to do it live. That being said, if you are scheduling things, making sure that you're still going in there that day to engage and show up. You can't just post and ghost. You have to go and be social in the social media, as you said, Ben. You have to put something out there, and making sure, especially before you post your next thing, that you've responded to comments, and you've make sure that people aren't just commenting into the void on your post. So even if you're going to schedule something, make sure that you still show up on the platform. But also, scheduling is also going to help protect our mental health. We don't want to spend all day on TikTok or Instagram, and so if you even just go in there for 5 minutes to engage, we want to make sure that we're not just putting it out there without getting anything back.
I definitely like the don't post and ghost.
I like that
great.
too. That's going to be, I don't know, well.
But socializing, meaning do you have to comment and engage, or can you just be there and creeping around?
No, you should comment and engage. But at a minimum,
She's a stalker. I married a stalker.
She wants to just come in.
She's the ghost in the post and ghost. She's I want to physically ghost and lurk. No, liking photos, making sure at a minimum that if people comment on your stuff that you're responding. And I know that's hard because sometimes people will come in and they'll put, some emojis, and you're like, what do I say to this? Ben wants to slap them back with a high five emoji, but making sure that you're responding to that and you're liking it, even if it's just thanks for liking this, because in a world full of bot comments, we have to really be grateful for every real human that has taken even half a second to engage with our content. Engagement is down for everyone, and then people are like, oh, I'm bad, I'm not good at this, my business isn't doing well. And it's everybody, but also remembering oh, nobody commented on my photo. Well, have I commented on anybody's photos in the last week?
Guilty.
Definitely guilty, yes. So stop
I'm
creeping.
posting and ghosting.
Be there, engage.
Posting and ghosting.
And I will say on TikTok, depending on what settings you have, it will tell you when your friends watch your video and don't like it. So
What?
you'll know who the real ones
Is a thumbs
are.
down? Is a thumbs down option?
No, but like
No,
it'll
like if
say
they're
like
seeing it,
yeah.
but they're not giving you a like.
yeah.
It doesn't mean that they don't like it. It just means they didn't,
Yeah, I'm lazy
inspire
with like
them
the
to
double
thumbs up.
tap too.
That's
So
messed up.
like, I love my friend's picture, but I'm just like I scroll so fast,
Yeah,
I'm not
just
even
see it,
stopping
yeah,
for a
yeah.
tap.
Give them the double tap.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
double tap more.
So more tapping.
More
double
tapping.
Oh, that's so much work. So much work.
Yeah, well, until Chat GPT can double tap for us, like we gotta
do it
put in a little
ourselves.
work.
Anything else
you
on the
know?
checklist that we want to ask Emily?
No, I think that was it. That was
Oh my God,
all
we covered
good
everything.
stuff.
You gave us a very
Yes.
to give you guys a little
Overload.
context. Emily gave us she's one of the most prepared guests. Well, actually, I mean, we haven't had that many guests. This is only episode 5 or 6, right? But like, she gave us a huge outline of like, hey, these are the things that we can talk about, right? Which one should we talk about? I was like, I think we can cover all of it, and we did.
Yeah.
We covered everything.
It was eye opening for me, being that I don't handle that department in our business.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily. You've saved our marriage. I have a newfound appreciation for my husband.
but also I think if I help with like some topics, like it's hard for one person to come up with a million topics and figure out ways to keep putting content out. I think if we sit down maybe like once a month, twice a month, and just brainstorm on stuff that we can do, and
You can
throw
ask.
out
You can
ideas.
ask ChatGPT to do this for you too. Once a month, you can just ask ChatGPT.
So
Let my
it's
husband do the work.
The
then. Let him
same
do the work.
day that you schedule for your dad jokes, I'll come in and schedule topics to post.
Dad
and
jokes and
blog
pickup
about.
lines.
Yeah, and even if you look at what people are asking other vendors and asking other people, and you answer those, it's not. I know you don't want to follow those kinds of things because you feel like you're copying, but if you see what people are asking, you're providing your own answer.
Right.
It's not, people. It's good market research to see what people are commenting.
Yeah,
on other
I don't have
people's
different
stuff.
audiences, and I see people do the same videos all the time.
Because we have a lot of blog posts that are helpful, and we paid a copywriter the last 2 years to do it.
Yeah.
To take our content that we have a magazine that we give our clients when they on board with us. So that copywriter took all that content and created blog posts. So the content's there. We just have to just make videos
Shrink
out of
them
it.
down, yeah. Haven't had the time. But
Yeah, I know.
we'll figure it out. Are you volunteering?
I'm posting and ghosting.
We're stealing that, Emily. We're gonna reuse it. We're gonna use it, and then we'll give you credit. We'll give you every time we use it. We'll
Please
we'll
do.
tag you.
Give me a tag. I'll double tap back.
Posting and ghosting. You know what? Remember to use that for the caption
Yes.
when we do the snippets. Posting and ghosting. I love it.
So good. So Ben, what is your? And I think this ties into what Emily was saying too about being active in social media and posting and ghosting. What is your sales marketing topic?
All right. So as some of you guys know, right, I have an educational group where I have weekly lives, and I basically answer questions that some of these are my students, and some of these folks are just folks who are in the group, and they have questions about sales and marketing, right? And one of the most popular questions that I ask, one of the most frequent questions that I ask is like, how do I attract more leads? How do I get more clients, right? And then every now and then they'll also leave their websites and their links to their social media and all that good stuff, right? And the thing is, I get this question so much. I've already pre-written 2 blog posts about how to deal with that issue. If you're not booking clients, if you're not attracting clients, this is what you can do, right? And I think one of the biggest problems that I see when people aren't getting clients, and you guys can chime in, with your thoughts as well, right? Like usually when people aren't getting clients, it usually either comes down to the product or the presentation. It's going to be one of those 2 things,
Correct.
right? Product or presentation, right? So your product has to be sellable.
Or both.
It could be both too, right? Your product has to be sellable, and then you need to be able to find the audience for this product, and you have to be able to sell it. That's the presentation part of it. And usually when someone's failing in that department, it's going to be one of those 2 things or both. So recently we had a visitor or user. It was anonymous. You know how Facebook allows you to be anonymous now when you're in the group.
So annoying.
So there was an anonymous Facebook user. He's like, hey, I've been working on my website. It's been around for about a year, and I did all these SEO things. I'm paying for leads. I'm on Yelp. I'm on Google my business. I pay for all these ads. I'm posting semi-regularly or whatever it is. I worked really hard on my copy, but I'm not getting any leads. What's the problem? What's going on, right? I go into the website, and one of the first things that I noticed was that, the photos weren't that great, and it needed some more work. So part of me is like, how do I tell this person that they need to work on their product? That's probably one of the hardest things that I have to do as a mentor or an educator. Tell someone that it's not so much that their marketing needs work, it's their product needs work.
No, so what we were discussing was that this so-called anonymous poster had a lot of decades of experience.
Or at least that's what they were sharing.
Right.
That's what they were sharing on the website. I guess they're not so anonymous anymore because they share the website, so we know who this person is. Right? But yeah, they're sharing, they said they had 30 years of experience, but the portfolio told a different story. What they were showing on their website was telling a different story.
And I think potential clients can see that as well. And that goes back to being authentic. Like you're telling me you've been working for 30 years. I want to see that portrayed in your portfolio and not see such like a wider range of images that are, I don't want to say substandard, but you can tell they don't, like you said, speak to that experience. And people can see right through that.
Was that person ever busy?
Well, no, apparently not. No, because
for 30 years they were.
He's been struggling for 30 years.
30 years. Why is he still?
It's clicked unemployment for 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They say they picked up the camera 30 years ago. So
30 years they were just not busy
or maybe they've been shooting on their own, but they've just now getting into.
Or maybe they're shooting
world.
a different genre. Maybe they're shooting nature photography.
And maybe now they're trying to expand into weddings, but because based on what we saw, it looked like only a handful of weddings were on his portfolio, and shot from a second shooter angle.
Okay. So let's talk solution.
Yeah.
Right. How can we help someone
who's in that boat?
Right.
Fix the product first.
Yeah.
Right. So my advice during the live, this is what I told, and you guys can chime in and let me know what you guys think. Right. So I was like, listen, when you're so close to your product, that's your baby. I call it the IKEA effect. It's beautiful because it's yours. You're so close to it, it's never going to be ugly. And this is the other thing that these people tell me. I say, oh, my wife says this, my work's amazing. Other people say that my work's amazing. My friends,
my mom says I'm handsome too.
my mom says that her work's amazing. So why am I not getting any clients? Right. So what I suggest is listen, why don't you do this instead? Why don't you submit your work for competitions or maybe go into Facebook groups with other photographers, get some feedback, right? And don't be offended when people give you their feedback. Just take it as free advice, okay? How to elevate your work, right? Because that's the first thing. That would be the first thing that I would do. If your work's not selling, check the product first, okay? Get somebody like a complete stranger. Because if there's anything that we know about strangers on the internet, there's no filter, right?
Correct.
People are going to tell you how they really feel about
This
yourself.
sucks.
Right? But don't take offense to it. Find out opportunities to kind of improve the product, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Go join Facebook groups, submit your work for critique and feedback and all that good stuff, right? The other thing that you could possibly do is maybe check out other websites or other groups that specialize in the kind of work that you want to do. Maybe it's OCF type of portraits, or maybe it's candid type of portraits, right? Or whatever it is. Find out what the industry standard is, right? And learn from them. Attend workshops. Go to meetups.
Yeah,
right.
That's always a.
I also told this person to second shoot for others. All right, learn from some of the more.
Well, not even second, because
or shadow.
If this person's product is not up to par, I don't think a seasoned primary would want them to second shoot. So as a third shooter, maybe
or assist,
even assist
for cheap,
work for
free.
For free. Yeah, free.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like for us, I did when we were starting out, I always felt like our product was better than our marketing, and then it got to the point where we're I guess together, where the marketing is as good as our product. Mm-hmm. And we struggled with that for a long time. And I think what helped me keep getting better was networking with people that were better than me, and just working for them, or just looking at their website, seeing what I love about their work, how I can take some of that inspiration and use it to create my own work. And I spent a lot of years trying to copy a lot of people until I was able to find my own style. I think it's good to get feedback, even if it tears you down. Like, it's happened to me throughout the years, and sometimes people are afraid to admit that the product is not there.
You're talking to the guy who, the only person in this room who got no awards.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the only one who's substandard. Well, actually, no, industry standard practice. You know.
Yeah. It's a wake up call sometimes when, you know, I know a lot of people that have been around in our area for decades, and eventually they start to phase out because they don't change anything, they don't do anything. A lot of times it's pride.
Yeah, they don't want to submit for feedback because they're afraid that of what might come back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think take it as it's free training. It doesn't cost you anything to get feedback to improve your product. You know
It's
what
true.
I mean? So that would be the first thing that I would say. I was like, fix your product first. But assuming that your product is fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that you have a good product or a good sellable product, what would be the next step? You know, if you're struggling for bookings, what would you recommend to these type of photographers who have good work? It's not just their mom telling them that they have good work. You know,
we have a strong feeling on paying someone for a custom website, paying a copywriter to do your copy. These are things that a lot of people oversee, and they see it as an unnecessary expense. But how often are you creating a new website? Every 3 to 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why people don't invest in these things.
These professionals who can do it.
Yeah.
Because they think they can do the best job for themselves, but there are other people that, believe it or not, can do a better job.
Right, but yet they'll buy the newest mirrorless camera that came out that cost $6,000. They'll be the first one to reserve it, pre-order, and they get sent to their house, but they're not willing to spend $4,000 to $6,000 on a website or $3,000 to $6,000 on a copywriter.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing.
Or a blogger or a social media strategist.
Yeah. right. A social media, or anything that they can't do themselves, they just won't want to invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say would be the next step, Emily, for someone who's fixed the product, has a good product, but
Zero inquiries. What should their first steps be?
After they've fixed the product and fixed all of that, I think it's about making sure that, you know, they're understanding who their ideal client is, because I think a lot of people don't. You know, they think they know who it is, but, you know, making sure you understand that, and then making sure that, like, you are putting your work out there. You know, I don't know, did you take a look at their social media too, or just their website?
So I actually, the question that I posed is actually a combination of 3 different Facebook anonymous users. And one of them had only 5 posts or 6 posts on Instagram. Another one had 0 Instagram presence. And the other one was actually pretty decent. So I don't know why he's having an issue. Maybe he's overpriced, or maybe he's not converting them somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I would make sure that you're putting yourself out there. And if it's somebody who, you know, only has 5 posts, and maybe you're newer and you're like, I don't have that much content that I feel like is social media worthy, that's when you really need to focus on building your presence and showing up and making those videos where you're talking to the camera and posting tips and things like that. I think showing that you add value in addition to your photos, because if it's like, my photos are good and I, you know, I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, you know, what is it like to work with you? That also might be what's missing. You know, if I see that your photos are great, but I don't know if we're going to vibe well, or that we share the same values, like, I am going to choose somebody whose photos are great and I know what they're like and I've interacted with them, or I at least have booked a call with them because I saw on Instagram that they, you know, share similar values, or they've shot a wedding like this before. So I think building those relationships is where I would go next. Are you putting in that work to build a relationship, or are you putting your work out there and hoping that people are understanding what you bring?
That was great. A lot of useful information there.
Yeah, a little bit more targeted marketing, you know? Because I do agree that I think a lot of times people just cast a really wide net. You know, because sometimes I'll talk to some folks and I'll ask them, who are you guys targeting? You know, who's your target market? And they'll tell me, hey, I'm looking for a newly engaged couple who likes pretty photos and they have a healthy budget. I'm like, no shit. You and everyone else.
Yeah.
You know? You need to be more specific than that. And then when I make them do an exercise for me to get them to kind of niche down and narrow down who exactly they're targeting, they think it's a silly exercise. I was like, all right, well, that's your problem then.
Yeah, are they posting and ghosting? That's probably why.
That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah,
Posting and ghosting.
They're putting it out there and they're just like, well, we'll see what happens.
Let's see what
But
sticks.
You have to go find people and like lead them to it.
Yeah. So I think what I shared with these 3 users was like, listen, you know, you have a very special gift that only a small percentage of the population will appreciate. Okay, that's what you need to show. Okay, you need to be authentic to your brand. You got to be authentic to yourself. That's what you got to show, and that's what you're going to attract. Okay, I share the story all the time where my wife and I, when we got married, our wedding photos sucked. So like for our 10-year wedding anniversary,
Did you always think they sucked at first?
I wasn't completely happy when we got them back.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I wasn't. There were like maybe 5 or 10 photos that I liked. And we found this guy, and we didn't even ask him how much this session cost. We just hired this guy, and he shot our photos, and we took him out to dinner. We asked him, hey, listen, do you get clients like us who just do whatever you ask them to and just pay whatever you ask them to? He's like, yeah, I get this all the time. I was like, well, how do you do it? It's like, well, I only show what I want to shoot. I stay true to how I work and how I operate, and the people who like it don't like it. People who don't won't. He's not casting a wide net. He's targeting a very specific small percentage of the population, the population that he is best equipped to serve, right? So that's why I told these 3 Facebook anonymous users that you need to be true to who you are, and you have to have a good understanding on the special gift that you have, what you're best equipped to serve, right? Find that audience. Your bait that you have in your hands, it's good for a certain kind of fish. What might be happening here is that you have the wrong bait for the wrong kind of fish that you're trying to get, right?
Sharks eat anything.
But maybe you don't want a shark. Maybe you want Dory, like a little, happy-go-lucky fish, right? So you have to find the correct kind of fish, the type of fish that your bait's going to attract, right? And if that fish won't come to you, you got to go.
You got to find it.
Go to that fish.
Yep.
Right? If fish won't come to you, you got to go to the fish. And if you did your research properly, you did your market research properly, you'll know exactly where they're hanging out. If you did your homework, you'll know where they're hanging out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's overwhelming too to do it. Like for one person to do all that, be the product, sell the product, market the product. It's tough. It's not for everyone.
I think it's the people who are like, I will work with everyone. Why am I getting no one? Versus like, I will work with this very small specific group of people. Why are they getting everybody? It doesn't mathematically make sense, but it's because they've created that message because they know what they want and they have the right bait for their fish.
Yep. One of those marketing gurus from the 60s or 70s, I think they said, if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. You have a very specific target audience that you're best equipped to serve. That's who you market to.
That's a good quote.
Yeah, I don't know who said it. We're going to find out.
Gotta give them credit.
I had to give proper quote credit. Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, but that's my sales and marketing tip. If you're struggling with sales and marketing your product, you're not getting any inquiries. The first thing you got to look at is your product, right? Make sure it's okay. And I already gave you guys some tips on how to improve your product. And then once your product is okay, you're 100% sure that it's okay. Everyone, excluding your mom and your spouse and your best friend, right? They tell you that your work is great, right? Next thing we're going to do is handle your sales and marketing. Make sure your SEO is on point. Make sure you're doing all the foundational stuff with SEO, your social media, and your relationship networking, network marketing. Those 3 things. I think those are the 3 pillars of any successful business. Yeah.
And Emily gave a lot of really good tips for that part. So you guys should be all set up for success after this.
I know. Everyone should be booking clients after this.
Yeah, you guys, a lot of truth bombs.
Gotta be focused AF on those goals.
Exactly.
All those gold nuggets.
So today's hot topic is, or we're not going to name names.
Is it Blake from BK again?
No, it's not Blake from BK. But a fellow photographer friend of ours posted yesterday, I believe, that I'm trying to not say his name and not say the venue name. Should I say that he's leaving the venue? I guess that kind of says what it is, right?
Cutting ties. Oh, he's no longer. So we have a friend of ours. So we have a friend of ours. He recently posted publicly on Facebook that he's no longer going to be taking any more clients who book a particular venue. All right. He used to shoot at this venue a whole bunch of times, and over the years, it started to evolve into something that he didn't want to be a part of. He didn't want to be associated with that brand, because the thing is, it is important to him that the people that he works with, even on a professional level, that they align with the values that he espouses and who he is as a person, as a business, as a brand. He can't compartmentalize his role as a photographer from the whole wedding day. Everyone who's going to be a part of that wedding day should have the same vibe.
I think also the events that were happening at this venue were compromising the quality of product that he was delivering.
Yeah, so it's interfering with his product. So I would have a problem with that as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, I didn't see it from that aspect. Because in my head, I know it would affect other
aspects of the wedding night. It affects the guests. It affects the couple themselves. And in my head, I was just thinking, oh, it doesn't bother us. We're just a photographer. And we've worked there before. There was a planner on site, so things ran well.
Now, just imagine if there wasn't a planner.
No, if there
on site.
wasn't, I didn't think that it does at the end of the day kind of
That would have
affect
been a
us.
total
If you got a
disaster.
bridezilla, you can't do your job as a wedding photographer.
No.
You've got a groomzilla, you can't do your job. So
And now you have a crappy venue.
yeah,
Didn't think of it that way.
yeah. So yeah.
And they have multiple weddings a day.
It's a wedding
Guests
factory.
are constantly going to the wrong wedding because there's nobody there guiding people to
Where they need to be.
Yeah,
And there's no parking there either.
No, it's a huge place. Like it's a huge place. They make, and also it's not the friendliest neighborhood at night. And they're telling vendors that you have to park blocks away with your thousands of dollars of equipment. There's certain practices that are just like stupid, and
doesn't make
and if the
sense.
venue's not looking out for the vendors, then why should the vendors be loyal to them?
So I guess the question is, have you banned venues?
Yes.
Because they're...
Yes.
I mean, we have to.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way, because you can learn to compartmentalize, like you said. Like, I'm the photographer. Whatever happens over here is none of my business. But sometimes it does affect us. Or sometimes, like this person did, he decided, you know what, I can't agree with the ethics of this venue, and I don't want to be a part of a day that can go terribly wrong for a couple.
Thankfully, a lot of the venues that we work at, vast majority, 99.99999%, they're in northern New Jersey, New York City, they treat the clients pretty well. They accommodate them pretty well, okay? If there's any kind of like discontent, it's usually because they're treating us badly, the vendors, right? Or maybe they're not feeding us, they're not allowing us to use the bathroom, they're not allowing us to drink water, they like yelling at us in front of the clients and stuff, right? Like, that won't fly with me, right?
Yeah.
But most of them are taking care of the clients. But in this particular case, I think the clients were being mistreated. And that affects my ability to do my work.
Yeah.
But if they mistreat us, that only has to happen once, and I'll never work at that venue ever again.
For us, it's been like logistics. Like if I feel like some of the wedding venues that we have put in our shit list have been venues that have multiple weddings at a time, and where they're limiting where you can go, what you can do, and at that point you're just like, where the hell can I go then? Like what can I use to take family photos? And they're telling you like, figure it out. Like when stuff like that happens, it's like, I'm not working here again. Like number one, it's affecting what I'm delivering. The client might not be able to tell, but at the same time, it's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth when they're treating us like nobodies and just like, oh no, you can't go here. You figure it out.
Yeah. Like it's a collaborative effort. The thing is, I don't know, like we're all part of the same team. We all want the clients to have a great product at the end of the day, right?
Right.
Whatever
if they're
it is
in a
that we're
good
offering.
mood, that's when we are able to get the best out of them.
Right. I'm not trying to compromise their product either. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to, segregate all the couples that they have on the premises. I understand their point of view, but you put us in a hard spot. What do you want us to do? You know what I mean?
And it wasn't like just this person that was, other people were stating similar experiences after they made a post. So they're doing it. They've been doing it for a while now.
Actually, it's a worst kept secret. Have you read these 1-star reviews?
I did. So it's when I go to the Google and it just sorts by, and I'm sure this is probably what happens to a lot of brides. They go, it's sorted by most relevant, and the first like 10, 15 are 5 stars. But then most people like me don't filter. And once you click like newest or lowest, then you see like the real story behind the scenes of what's going on. And you're like, wow. Some
'cause
shadiness.
See, the thing is with the Knot and Wedding Wire, it's not that they pay to remove the reviews, but it's very vendor friendly to be able to remove reviews, right?
Yeah.
But Google reviews, you can't remove them. That's the one thing about Google reviews. All you can do is respond to them, right? And if you look at the responses from the venue, because the venues have the opportunity to respond, right? Oh,
their
they're
responses
nasty.
were crazy.
They were nasty. It's like, it's not our problem that you did this and that. Oh, like, let me get this straight. So you said this and you got that instead, but it's actually your fault, right? I'm like, are you kidding me?
This is when they should have someone.
They should have a lawyer or a PR team
And it's
answering
so
these questions.
unfortunate because it's a venue that like is so unique and people love it for that reason, but it's also falling apart and like
Wait,
it's a little dangerous.
You're saying too much now. I think there's only one venue.
So I'm just saying.
All I'm gonna say is that when I worked at this venue, I logged 17,000 steps.
Yeah, it's a lot of. Say no more. We've already done the naming of the venue.
Well, when I worked at that venue, I tested positive for asbestos. So I'm kidding.
I did get COVID at a
He
wedding
did get
there.
COVID at that wedding at the venue, actually.
So now this venue is spreading COVID too, huh? All right, I get it.
We've said too
Oh,
much.
you know what? In the corner of the main room, you're also a big pile of dog shit. You know? I don't even know how I got there. You know?
We've said too much.
So,
Half the toilets weren't even working. You know? And then like,
what's the moral of the story here?
I guess as a photographer, decide if you're willing to put yourself in these situations, even though it might not directly affect you, but it can affect your product.
It's affecting your money because you're turning away work now.
Yeah, so it depends on your ethics and what you feel is to do best for yourself and for your couples and
For your business,
and
too.
for
For
your
your business,
mental sanity.
your mental sanity.
Yes.
for peace of mind. That's all we want. All we want to
That's
do. All we want to do is just enjoy our work, right?
Yeah.
Like just do what we love and not have any headaches while we're doing it. You know. And this venue is giving everyone a whole bunch of headaches.
I can't wait to read the reviews when I go home.
Oh, you haven't read the reviews yet?
No.
Oh, they're juicy.
Yeah,
They're good.
I can't wait.
Emily, do you know which venue we're talking about?
No, but when we stop recording, I think you're gonna tell me.
Oh, we will.
All right.
Awesome.
So anything else that we're going to cover today? Any fashion tips? Anything like that? No.
But I fell yesterday.
Oh, Kelly,
Not only did Karis have to work with Ben Lau over the weekend, but then she got herself injured.
she got in a fight with a
because
bush.
of Ben Lau. Ben Lau made us go biking.
And Karis, while she was riding her bike, she was riding
I
her
was
bike
biking and recording.
This is
One
why.
hand.
And then she lost control of the bike, got into a fight with a tree and lost. And then
And
you know,
gravel.
I'm already at the parking lot, right? So Karis comes down
So
the path.
Ben like leaves
He
us.
left you?
No, I was already at the parking lot.
Ben and Aiden always leaves us. I'm stuck with Grayson. He's stopping every other second, and I gotta like restart him. So he was doing really well, right? I was like, oh my god, I'm so proud of him. So I was like, oh, maybe I can record, right? So I like unzipped my little bag and took the phone out. I was like, oh my god, and I unlocked my phone. I was like, oh my god, I'm doing this, right? So recording, going like a few seconds later, I'm like swerving. I'm like, okay, I'm going down. I'm like, Grayson! He stops, runs over.
Ben left you guys behind.
And then the funny part of this is she's coming down because she crashed, right? Her bike and her handlebar was like this.
Of course, out of like all the spots I could crash, like there was like whole like log of tree that fell. I crashed like
my
right
God.
into it.
Karis,
And then my bike handle like turned. So if I wanted to go straight, the handle was
It's
like
basically
flat.
the other way, yeah.
she's riding the bike with a crooked
I
handlebar.
don't even know we could ride back. Right on fire.
I was like, when she came to the parking lot, I was like, what the hell happened to you? She's got like twigs in her hair, leaves.
I was like, we made it alive.
Poor Karis.
But did you post the video? We
Yes,
love the
yes.
commitment to the content.
I posted the video of Grayson riding peacefully.
I was like, why did you stop recording when you were falling? That would have been gold, you know?
They would have, oh my God, look at him.
And then a tree and the gravel.
Yes, that would have been great content.
All right.
Oh, my
So-
God. Yeah. Thank you, Emily, for coming on.
Tk you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
you-
putting up with us. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes.
And the dad jokes and the pickup lines.
Yeah, we're gonna lose Ben to ChatGPT later. Can you let our listeners know where to find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Emily Rochot. ROCHOTTE is my last name. And then you can find me at emilyrochot.com. And maybe I'll put some fun freebies on emilyrochot.com/focusedaf. So
Ooh, we're going to get some free. So I'm going to post all her links in our show notes. And I'm also going to post links maybe to her freebie just for our listeners.
yeah.
And
That's awesome.
you guys get to take some of these tips that Emily shared with us and implement into your business. And hopefully, well, actually, not hopefully, but we'll know that will help bring some success into your business.
Definitely.
Very helpful.
Awesome.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on today's episode. Hopefully, you guys learned a whole bunch about social media and blogging and all that good stuff. And hopefully, we got some good stuff that you guys can implement into your business. If you guys want to download this episode or any other episodes, you guys can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Apple Podcasts, wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. You guys can also follow us at focused.af on Instagram. You guys can also check out our bloopers and behind the scenes stuff at focused focus-af.com. And on that note, are you guys focused AF? Because I'm not.
We're more focused AF than you, Ben.
You know what? We need to write this part down. I fucked this
I was
up.
gonna say maybe we should put it on the wall or something.
The producer would say, I told you that the first time, but you guys don't listen.
Have ChatGPT generate a closer for you.
We fuck this part up every week. Well, last time you closed, though.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's because there's a dash and there's a dot. And it's like,
Yep. But,
Well, I guess we're focused AF. Thank you guys for visiting. I'm Jen.
this is Ro.
I'm Ben.
this is Karis.
Have a good one, everybody.
Adios.
Bye.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams, Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.